Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and KD Hugnall. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week. So keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose. Thanks for downloading another episode of the ThunderCast. You can follow us on Twitter at ThunderCast_pod. You can watch the show on the ThunderCast YouTube channel. And if you're more of an audio podcast kind of person, then you can find us pretty much anywhere. We're all over Apple Podcasts and Spotify and iHeartRadio. Anywhere you can find a podcast, you can pretty much find the ThunderCast. We sure do appreciate you guys listening each and every episode we put out. It was a really busy week last week. Nice kind of pump the brakes for a minute here and get back to normal a little bit. What did we put out last week, Russ? Like 5 episodes or something like that?
Well, I did one by myself, so 6.
God, 6 episodes.
Well, actually, so 2 by myself, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, well, one with a visitor, but you get what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking 2 solo episodes. Man, even I missed one.
No.
But anyway, it was a very, very busy week, but it was awesome, man. This was a big build-up for us in the home opener and a huge tailgate, and we're going to talk about it. It went really, really well. It was a tale of 2 days, really. You know, there was the beginning part that had some really crappy weather, but we had an awesome tailgate, and then the weather moved out of the area, and then it was time to watch the game. And I want to get into all that. I know a lot of people are kind of anxiously awaiting what we have to say about this game. So, we might as well get into this episode. There's going to be a lot we're going to talk about, I'm sure. We are all, and just about everybody in the herd fan base is left feeling that there are questions that need answered, that there are questions that literally just need asked. So I think we're going to ask some of those questions to one another tonight. But before we do any of it, we got to pay some bills. So give me a word from our sponsors at Leasure Oliver PLLC.
If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com.
Well, it was a 21-20 loss for the herd in the home opener in front of 28,564 fans, though. Gotta like that. Excellent turnout. This is the first time that the herd has lost a home opener since, I believe, 2010, which was Doc Holliday's first season. And I dug a little deeper, I started thinking, well, he lost the first game because that was at Ohio State, I believe. And then we lost the home opener, and I thought, okay, when did it end? Well, we started 1-6 that season. So this is not anywhere we haven't been before, obviously. But this is not the way we and many people in the fan base thought. We thought we'd be sitting at 1-1 right now. Now, granted, that Holiday team in 2010 finished 4-1, so they still fell just shy of a bowl game, 7-5 on the year. It doesn't feel like 1-6 is this type of team, but we've seen a lot of history between the first year, or a lot of similarities, between the first year of Doc Holliday and the first year of Tony Gibson so far. So let's hope that's one trend that absolutely breaks and does not rear its ugly head. But let's talk about the 2 days, basically. We were on the lots bright and early. Our guys from the Kentucky Mash Boys were down there cooking from the night before, Friday evening, so we had tons of good food for everybody. It was very dreary, very rainy, just kind of sort of miserable. At least it wasn't cold and rainy. It was just rainy.
Yeah, and the rain overnight, for anyone that hasn't already heard this, while they were at our tailgate, it lowered the temperature of the smokers and just created a much longer cook. So it just put everything behind from what we were wanting to do. And, the rain that day, it put everybody showing up at the lots later than they normally would. So it was just rain put a, no pun intended, damper on the stuff.
Well, it did, but man, we powered through it. We were having a hell of a fun time, rain or not. And then when it finally moved away, it really hit full swing. The lot started filling up a little bit later, sometime around 1:30, 2 o'clock. People really started to fill the place up. But I was out there at probably 10 o'clock, 10:30, something like that, maybe something to 11. I don't remember when I got down there. And Kyle and those guys were already hard at work and enjoying themselves. And it was awesome, man. This was one of the best tailgates that I believe we've put on as far as attendance goes with who all showed up. I mean, I feel comfortable saying that there were hundreds and hundreds of herd fans throughout the day that came
Yeah.
by at one point or another. I came back after the Thunder Walk, and it was like, where did all these people come from? I mean, it was full over there.
Right around that time, if I had to guess, because when we went live, you said I'm trying to do a head count, but it's impossible, and people were on your peripheral on both sides. I'd estimate we had probably 200 because we had 4 different tents
Right.
set up. I'd say around 200 at one time, not counting how many people were just there and gone at different times. So
yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. But this just goes to show you that people are actually now believing us when we say come by the ThunderCast tailgate. It is a 100% free thing that we like to be able to do, and we have unbelievably generous sponsors that allow us to do that. So please, if you're going to come to the game, come and tailgate with us for a little bit at least. You can go do your own thing if you want to, but stop by and get some food and talk the herd with us for a little bit. I mean, we had, on top of the herd fans that were there in and out, we had, well, of course, ThunderCast Live made its return for yet another season of herd football. We hosted members of the herd women's soccer team, the swim and dive team. Some of the baseball players were there. Several parents of football players stopped by because they have now been listening to our show and wanted to see what it was all about. We had some Missouri State fans stop by. Who else? Who am I missing?
Big G.
Big G was there. Yeah. And kind of Big J, the CGO of Dead Meat Society, Jake Coons was there. This was a great tailgate. Miss Campbell stopped by. I just happened to be standing next to her at the Thunder Walk. Introduced myself, welcomed them to Huntington, and her and her family came by to see what it was all about. It was really cool, man. It was a place to be. Back corner of the C lot. One of my favorite things, also, Russ, I saw was from Austin. He said this is the best tailgate spot in all of college football. Pretty hard for me to disagree.
Yeah, and I said I'm going to put that on a shirt, and I really am. I might just frame the tweet, right there, but no, I also wanted to say, we're not mentioning every single parent of players by name, but I do want to say, Clark, if you're watching or listening, reach out to us. I've got a little something for you I want to run by about Thanksgiving, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, our DMs are open for you, pal. So if you hear this, see this, holler at us. So it was a great day. I mean, we tailgated hardcore, but then it was finally time to enter the Joan and go check out the game. This was, of course, the first game for the Dutch Miller deck, and that thing looked awesome. I think it really adds a lot to the stadium. I know I've said this before. I am not a sweets kind of guy. I feel like you're very, very disconnected from the energy of the stadium. I didn't get that vibe from the Dutch Miller deck. I felt like it was another. Yes, I felt like it was another section of the stadium. I was getting all the crowd noise, all the energy, and you're right there on top of the action. It was very, 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 very cool, man. Such a great addition to the Joan.
Yeah, we were blessed to be able to get those seats. Dear friend of mine from my hometown could not make it up and said, "Hey, want to see if you guys wanted to use these," and we put them to use. And then Jed had a couple as well, from ignite.link layer 1, and they had that company event. He couldn't use his because he wanted to be with his company and sit with them. So we had 6 tickets that we took over there, and all 6 of us can attest to just what a great event that was. What a venue to be able to be in there, the indoor, outdoor, the bathroom lines being so short because you've got personal bathrooms to go to, and, you just hop in and get a bottle of water if you need one, and things like that. The views were great. The atmosphere was great. The viewpoint, I used to sit in the end zone on the other end until the last, I don't know, 10 years or something like that. But great all around. Great all around.
Yeah, really. I mean, and obviously the only gripe for me was that it's hard to tell where the ball's being marked or spotted, but
On
that's
the
just because you're
falling.
in the end zone. That's
Yeah.
all.
And it's really only on the far end, on the other side of the 50. But yeah, it was great. Anyone that's on the fence about, hey, should I get deck passes? 100% you should.
Yeah.
I mean, it is awesome. We're not being told to say that. We say that because we were in there and we both said, "Wow, this is ridiculous."
Yeah, it was very, very cool, and I fully believe that this is probably one of the only times, if not the only time, that I'll ever see a game from that viewpoint, because I get to go to one a year if I'm lucky. And what are the odds that the one game I get to go to, there will be a available pass for me that finds its way to me? Incredibly low odds, but to do it one time was really cool. If you're on the fence about it, thinking, I don't know, man, I say give it a shot and reevaluate next year, because it was really, really cool. But let's talk about the game, man. I mentioned this in the forefront that there are probably some tough questions that need to be asked after this one. We really didn't know what we were dealing with after the Georgia game. And if we're dealing with what we saw against Missouri State, I think there might be some questions that you have to ask. So let's talk about this one and try to keep it. I don't know. I'm not trying to tone it down, but I don't want to beat a dead horse for an hour, is what I'm saying. Indicators. Let's talk about a few indicators. Total yards, time of possession, first downs, third downs, penalties, and turnovers. Total yards in this one, 474 yards for Missouri State, just 274 for the Herd. Edge, Missouri State. Time of possession, 34-34 for Missouri State, 25-26 for the Herd. Edge, Missouri State. First downs, 18-12. Edge, Missouri State. You're hearing a theme here. Third down, 7 of 16 for Missouri State. The Herd just 3 of 15. Edge, Missouri State. Penalties, 8 for 93 yards for Missouri State, 5 for 40 yards for the Herd. Edge, Herd. Turnovers tied 1-1, but of course our one turnover was on Zion Turner's final pass of the game. At that point, it didn't matter, because even if that pass wasn't an interception, if it doesn't pick up a first down, the game's over anyway. So yes, it happened, but it wasn't super impactful in the game. Let's run through some player stats. I'll take a pause after offense, after I tell you my notes, and then I'll get a little bit of comment, because I know you want to save it all for grades, but I don't want you to be quiet for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Zion Turner starts for the Herd, gets every snap on offense all the way through. 13 of 24 for 83 yards, 1 touchdown and an interception, 11 carries for 60 yards on the ground and a touchdown on the ground. Joshawn Barbie gets 12 carries for 67 yards, good for 5.6 yards per carry. Justin Williams-Thomas has 8 carries for 61 yards, good for 7.6 yards per carry, and a touchdown of 37 yards. Toby Payne's your leader in the receptions category, 4 for 43 yards. He's the leader in that category as well. 10.8 yards per reception with a long of 26. And then Ben Turner notches 1 catch for 17 yards. That's the kind of the damage done in the pass game. Here's the notes. Team as a whole, 191 rush yards. Really good stat for the second game in a row. No lost fumbles. And we scored 20 straight points in the second quarter and the early third quarter. That's really my only notes on the offense. Chime in if you got something for me.
Oh, I got something, but
something you don't want to save.
No. I know I want to save a lot for grades, but I do want to say that one of the keys to victory, I talked about rushing, and I said I thought 40 rushes for over 200 yards. We did get 5.6, I think, yards per carry. 5.8 yards per carry. So it was close on that. So it wasn't like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something that I can say now and not do with grades, but that was a key to victory kind of thing. I don't think we need to rehash our keys, because I'm fairly certain they're all gone. They're all X's instead of check marks. Yeah, I mean, 5.8 yards per carry, that was good, and you would think that with that we would have done more, but everything else I think I should save for grades.
Yeah, I think that blends into a conversation I want to have here in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Let's go to the defensive side of the football now. Kerryon Martin played one hell of a game in this one. 13 total tackles, 6 of those solo, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. Kid was everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was telling Jake, I was like, you keep your eye on 22 because he's been making plays.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually inches away from a sack when the big pass play to the running back out of the backfield occurred, and he was like, well, you called it. It was 22, but it was the wrong 22. Mm-hmm. He was so close to breaking that one up. Boogie Trotter gets 8 tackles, 5 solo, and a pass defended. Jamal Weiss also 8 tackles, 1 solo, a tackle and a half for loss, and a sack and a half. And then Cannon Lewis, 7 total tackles, 2 of those solo. Impact plays looked really good for the Herd, man. 6 sacks on the day, 1 by Kerryon Martin, a sack and a half by Jamal Weiss, a sack by Jabril El-Amin, a sack by Braden Ward, and then half a sack each for Naquan Crowder, Tyus Martin, and Paul Hudson III. Really great in that category, 6 sacks.
Did you mention Jave Gilmore with 2.5?
Oh, no, I must have missed that one. I wondered why the hell I only had 6, and I was like, well, that doesn't add up to 6. Yeah. But anyway.
Jave Gilmore had 2.5. No, I'm sorry, 2.5 tackles for loss.
Okay.
I thought we were going over the tackles for loss.
No, that was just sacks. Anyway, we had 12 tackles for loss. That was a great day in the category there. 1 interception by Marvay Myers, and then add on 2 passes defended. So those impact plays looked really, really good. The only thing better you can ask for is hopefully knock the football out, which the Herd did twice, and Missouri State was able to recover both freaking fumbles. It was unbelievable. Here's where it gets a little muddy. They allowed 474 total yards to a Missouri State offense, 388 of which were through the air. Good enough for the number. Let me say, I want to say this. I saw the set. Jacob Clark was the 9th highest passer in yardage this weekend. So he was top 10 in passing yards. That's what I was trying to piece together. And then, of course, they allowed 2 massive plays. One was a screen play, and then the other one was kind of a broken down play that went for a touchdown. I don't know what it was, 50-some yards or something.
Yeah, on that one, it was a double move because I went back and watched the game, and it was a double move, and Marvay Myers bit on the first move, and that's why he was wide open.
But the big screenplay, which ultimately set up the go-ahead touchdown, or the tying touchdown to set up for the go-ahead extra point, was on a 3rd and 14 screenplay that went for 55 yards with about 4 minutes to go in the game, something like that. But the thing that did hang around in this one was I kept seeing more of those poor tackling angles that we saw against Georgia, but we were attributing that to some really, really high team speed for Georgia. Now, I'm not saying Missouri State is slow, but it stands to reason they are a little bit slower than a national championship contender. Let's go special teams now. Lorcan Quinn, 2 of 3 on field goals. He hits from 50 and he hits from 33 and then misses from 34 in the 4th quarter which capped off, usually that's a positive term, but capped off a 93-yard Herd drive. That was a gut punch. We needed that one. Nathan Totten, 5 total punts on the day, 47.6-yard average. 1 lands inside the 20, and he has a long of 53. And Floyd Lacey does a little damage in the punt return game. 2 punt returns total, 51 total yards. 25 and a half on the average with a long of 41. I really thought he was going to break loose one time, man, and make it go. You mentioned keys a little bit ago. I wrote mine back down to see how they go. I guess you did.
I got mine. All right.
Mine. So what was your number one, run the football, that type of thing?
No, it was contain Jacob Clark. Don't let him throw it all over the field.
Well,
gone.
That didn't happen. My number one key to victory was attack the ground. There was just too many. This running back room is too deep to be able to bottle everybody up for 60 minutes. I'm going to give them a half because when we were running the ball, we had some success. Several long touchdown runs by the quarterback, Justin Williams-Thomas. Joe Sean Barbie was having a good day. The problem was they went away from it, and it was freaking why? Why are we doing that? So I'll give them a half a point. We should have ran more.
That was my number 3, just to go on that. I said we need to run the ball, run it well. Look for Marshall to show a lot more of this Rod Smith offense with lots of runs and QB runs. I'm expecting 40-plus carries and 200-plus yards. So we did not get to 40 and 200, but I feel like the first part of that, we do need to run the ball and run it well. We ran 5.8 yards a carry on 33 of them. I don't know. I'd give maybe a quarter on that because I had a little loftier expectations on that.
Yeah, and only 33 team rushing attempts. And I can definitely point to at least 2 or 3 plays that should have been runs that were passes. So even getting that number up to 36 would have probably made a huge difference potentially in the outcome of this game. My number 2 was blitz from everywhere, and I think the Herd did a pretty good job of that, man. They brought pressure. They ended up with 6 sacks on the day and 12 tackles for loss. Now, granted, some of those are from handoffs and in the run game, but that's a very gaudy impact play stat line. And some of those absolutely came from blitz plays. So I'm going to say they did do a pretty good job of that. What do you have? What was your number 2?
Well, that was my same there. Cry havoc and release the dogs of war, get after Clark with pressure, disrupt him with sacks and hurried throws. Even though he put up the stats that he did, some of those were he barely got away from 1, 2, 3, even 4 guys to do that. But early in the game, man, it was just pressure. They were getting to him everywhere. They were getting into the backfield, like you said, on tackles for loss on the running back. But, I mean, they were flying all over the field. It just was not the outcome that you wanted to see because Clark did a good job of exploiting some wide open people.
Well, you even hear Tony Gibson talk about that in the post-game presser. He said they picked up on us getting pressure on them, and that's when we started seeing a lot more screens come into play and
which
things
is like that.
You do. Yeah, and he even said that we knew they were a big screen team coming in, which really put insult to injury that they got burned on a couple of screen plays, including one there at the end that set up the tying touchdown with the chance to go ahead. My number 3 is I couldn't have been more wrong about this. This is the one where I said they need to pour it on and see who that we've got right now, because we were expecting to see multiple quarterbacks and those guys maybe all accounting for at least 1 touchdown, and there was no semblance of pouring on points at all. They looked really good again in the second quarter, in the beginning of the third, 20 straight points, and we thought, all right, at that point I was thinking, okay, we withstood a little bit of an early game flurry from Missouri State. Now we're going to settle in, and now this game's going to get out of hand. They put 20 points on the board, and we didn't sniff another one. And I'm like, okay. So I could not have been more wrong about that.
My final one was play your game. You didn't get to do that at Georgia. You need to do that here. That's no.
Yeah,
that was not our game. I really hope that is not our game.
Yeah, that's true. And my number 4 key to victory was don't break the rhythm. And they broke the rhythm. I mean, we were running the football and they would go away from that. And the passing stat line just does not indicate any way, shape, or form that you should have went away from the run game that was working. So big X on that one too. Let's talk some grades now. This is where I really want to get into some discussion on some of these things. Let's start where we always start with the quarterback. We saw 1. We thought we might see 2. We thought we might even see 3. But it was Zion Turner from beginning to end. What's your grade for Zion?
I truly thought we were going to see all 3. And I thought that, as you and I said, I'll reiterate what my thoughts were because I don't remember verbatim what yours was. But mine was if Ja'Kai Long was the guy that you trusted enough to start at Georgia on the road in his first ever collegiate game, I felt like he deserved to be the guy to get the start here so you could see. Not a, well, we didn't want to be wrong. Not a, well, we let him do that, we got to let him here. I felt like he deserved to get that chance to see what he could do against someone that was not Georgia and not the number 5 team in the country with probably the best defense in the country right now. As fast as those guys were, as soon as the ball was snapped down there, I know that we're talking about Georgia here, the play was over. There was nothing for him to do. He still got out of the pocket several times, threw it away, to where there was no penalties. He had no interceptions. I felt like he deserved to get a shot. That's not saying anything bad about Zion. Zion did amazing down there. But to me, to get the ball every single snap and for us to be struggling mightily early in this game and to struggle late in this game, it was mind-blowing to me that we did not see another quarterback. Zion's stat line alone, this is not indicative, just like we said about Long and Del Rio Wilson and Zion Turner in the Georgia grades. This is not a grade that says this is what I think of this player all season long. These are this game. Zion Turner gets an F for his quarterback play. You can't have 13 for 24 with 83 yards. That cannot be your stat line as your quarterback.
No, it can't. And he made up for it a little bit on the run game with 60 yards on the ground and the touchdown. But still, man, he came in basically one drive and had more production through the air against Georgia than he had in an entire game in this one at home. Mm-hmm. Like, that can't really happen, you know? And I'm not saying that the kid did horribly, but that was definitely not effective enough to get a win in this game.
It's an F production. If you're under 100 yards passing on the game, I'm sorry, it's an F.
Yeah. And these grades are never going to be a cumulative thing. They're always a individual snapshot of that particular effort. This one didn't get it done. The scoreboard said it. The record now says it. You know, and it is a little concerning. I mean, this is kind of like concerning how we played three quarterbacks to see who could face that test, and he faced it well against Georgia.
Right.
And how we didn't see anybody. There were many points in that game to where the offense was stagnant. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't get anything going. And not even for a series do you say, all right, let's see if we can get a spark here. Let's just see if we can get a spark. Maybe that's a conversation for the next grade. I'm going to give Zion, I'll give him a D because I think he still accounted for 2 touchdowns. He had a couple of good throws. I see a little bit of promise there, but there was nothing consistently great. He was not helped out a lot. His stat line could have been a little bit better. He had some drops early in the game, or he had some drops against him early in the game. He had a beautiful pass to Toby Payne coming towards the end zone we were in. It looked like it was inside of triple coverage. I can't really remember, but he laid that ball in there perfectly. And there were a few good plays, but not enough.
He did some good things, and, you know, everyone's grade system is going to be different. I'm looking at total overall production. I can't argue with your grades, too, because he did some things well. There's one on here that you'll hear me talk about when it's on the offense that he did well, and I'll get to that when we're doing that grade. But, again, my grade, to explain to anybody out there, is 83 yards through the air. If you're a quarterback and you're throwing 24 times, you cannot have that.
Well, the only way I can say you can have that is if you have about 200 yards on the ground. You know what I mean? It's like that's your offense and your army. You know what I mean? But that's not what we are.
They're also not going to throw it 24 times to get 83 yards.
Correct. So no, this was a not effective enough quarterback play at all to get this win. Obviously, let's talk about that offense now. So let me give you the numbers again. 274 total yards, 191 on the ground. They do account for a couple of touchdowns. They put them in position to get a couple of more on the special team side of things. So not completely horrible, but 274 yards ain't going to get it done in this. What we were promised is going to be very explosive offense.
F on the grade there. 274 yards is bad. There were several different times that we were stagnant is not the word. 2 of our 2 field goals, because we had 3 field goal attempts, but the 2 we made. Off the top of your head, I know you didn't do a rewatch, and I'm fresh off of that, but do you know what those drives were when we got the 2 field goals?
I know one was like 3 plays, 4 yards, and then I don't remember what the other one was. No, I spent my day yesterday driving back to Florida.
Both were listed officially because the field goal is the 4th play. 4 plays, 4 yards. Yeah. Both of them. Yeah. So we just happened to get the ball in field goal range.
I don't even think you happen to, because the first one was 50. So you have to be like, all right, well, we're going to take a look. Let's see if he's got it. And he's got it. So that worked out.
Yeah, but I'm saying that we didn't get into that. We got we got 4 yards on both of those drives. Here's what I was going to say about the reason. You can look at some positives, and it's the same as Zion had some positives as quarterback. But overall, is what I'm getting on this grade, the same as quarterback. Zion Turner broke a 49-yard run. I mean, just was running. That would have put him over 100. Well, I don't know, because some of it counted. I can't remember exactly. I think 35 yards of it.
Oh, that's the one they moved back to around midfield, right? Somewhere in that area.
It was to the 35 is what it was. And so it went from he got 16 yards from the 19 to the 35. Well, it was like he missed out on 33 extra yards because of the holding call on Floyd Lacey. We had a false start. We had a couple other penalties and things like that. That every time we were trying to get something going, we didn't get it going.
Yeah.
So, you start looking at the let me go through this drive chart here. First quarter, we had 3 plays 1 yard, 3 plays 7 yards, 3 plays 6 yards. Congratulations, that's our first quarter.
Right.
And then in the second quarter, we had the touchdown and the touchdown, 75 and 76. Then we had field goal, 4 plays, 4 yards. Third quarter, we had 3 plays, 5 yards, 4 plays, 4 yards, and that's that other field goal. 4 plays, 9 yards, turned over on downs. 4 plays, 9 yards, turned over on downs. 6 plays, 18 yards. 9 plays, 73 yards, missed field goal. 4 plays, 3 yards. 7 plays, 8 yards, or 18 yards. There's the 9 plays, 93 yards. Then the interception was 4 plays, 3 yards.
Yep.
Then the interception to lose the game. That's an F. 274 yards against this defense. No offense to Missouri State, but everyone was talking about that we talked to. The guy that gave the preview on here said defense is probably not our strong point this year. They gave up 73 to USC. Yeah, I know it's USC, but it's 73 freaking points, man. And then we come in and we manage 274 yards and 83 of them through the air. We got that 49-yard run, part of it get called back. That's an F.
You can't continually not show up until the second quarter of football games and expect to win very many. And this was probably going to be the best environment that you could have hoped to have played in this season. 28,000 fans, which is a larger crowd than I thought would have been there, especially since it rained and the people they came out anyway.
Yeah.
And, now it's like, all right, you know how fickle some fans are. They're just fickle. They'll be like, well, when they win some games, I'll go back. So there might not be some of those people that will show up this weekend. I mean, I can't be there not by choice. I mean, I'm 1,000 miles away, or else I would be there. But there are people that will not be there that could be there because you dropped this game.
And it's against EKU.
Right, and it's
always
against
people.
EKU.
Yeah, there's always people that say that.
But there are also people that were expecting to see a very explosive, light up the scoreboard offense.
That's right.
They didn't see it. It's been the talk this whole offseason. We're guilty of it too, because we were digging into the stats and looking at what they did in Jack State last year, the last couple of years.
That's
and
right.
I still look at that and I go, why the hell did we stop running the football in this game?
Yeah.
It was working. 5+ yards per carry.
5.8.
You call some plays that are obviously RPOs, and Tony mentioned it in the post-game presser, especially on that last one, that last play where they missed the field goal. Yeah. That third down call was an RPO, and he said we probably should have locked that into a run play. We didn't do it. You should have, right?
Yeah.
And he knows. I mean, I'm not telling him what to do. He knows that's what should have happened.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. You went away from running the football, and that was obviously a running situation. You're tearing guys up, and you put 33 attempts on the board. That's what I said. If you get up around that 40 number that you're talking about, Marshall probably wins his football game. And I think that's a hard pill to swallow for these guys. And now they know that. They got to watch the film and go, damn, man, we should have done that. We shouldn't have done. Why the hell did we run a fake freaking punt on our own 34-yard line? I mean, what is going on here? This is not the time to take those chances.
Let's take a quick pause to remind everybody watching and listening that Tony Gibson and his staff is a lot harder on themselves after this game than we are. And nothing we're saying here is something that they're going, I didn't think about that. Maybe we should have won this game.
We should have run that touchdown play again.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're trying to assess on the production of this, and we're not trying to beat everybody up, and they're beating themselves up. We said this all last year, the year before that, the year before that. The players want to win a lot more than us fans do. No one goes out there and goes, I don't care if we win or lose this game. Right. I don't care how mad you get at a loss. Those guys are mad, way worse, So, yes, we're trying to give accurate grades here on production and how this game went. But no one is out here trying to say that we know better than Tony Gibson knows or Rod Smith knows or anything, because we've got the benefit of hindsight, but they do too, and they've already said the same daggone things. We shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, you watch when press availability comes around this weekend leading into that game. I guarantee you there will be some comments from coaches about, we looked at the film, we saw this, and we're like, essentially, I'm pre-paraphrasing, I guess, but my gist of it will be like, we're pissed we didn't do this, we should have done this, we let one slip away. And as much as it's nice to hear a coach take accountability instead of deflecting, you're not going to get away with that too many more times before people are tired of hearing, we should have done this, we let one slip away. So it's, for me, it's an F too. I mean, you went away from what was working, and you lost a home opener for the first time in 15 years. That's just not something you can do, really. Defensively, what do you got?
I struggled with this one, and I feel like my grade is maybe too generous because of the outcome of the game. I gave him a D, but I was really close to doing a D-F. A lot of this was, we had a great takeaway in Marvin Myers, and it was 39 yards, I think, on the return, and put us down there. And I think that's when we got the 50-yard field goal that just put us already in scoring position. We had those 6 sacks. We had those 12 tackles for losses. We were putting pressure on this guy, but we let our over pursuit get us several times. That screenplay for 55 you went was not even the longest run after catch that number 22 for them had. He had a 57 in the second quarter, because we were chasing the Clark, the quarterback, and he dumps it off, and he basically goes untouched. And it's almost like he should have gotten him. It looked like on the film we took a bad angle on him to get it. And then we had the double move that I talked about where Myers bid on that. And, people do double moves for a reason. It's not like he's the only guy that's ever bid on that, but it happened, and he was wide open, and he went untouched.
Yeah.
So you had 52, 57, and 55, 2 of them for touchdowns, and the other one drastically set up that touchdown. We had all these impact plays, the forced fumbles, the stops, and everything. But then we would give up a 3rd and long. We would give up a 3rd and short. We would give up these chunk plays. So for me, it's a D. But, man, the sacks and the pressure are doing a lot of that lifting. But I really wanted to give an F, because when it came down to it, we gave up the plays that we should not have given up, and that allowed them to win this game.
If you would have come to me before the game and said, hey, how would you take 6 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, an interception, forcing 2 fumbles, would you take that out of your defense for this game? I'd say 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
100 times out of 100.
Do you know how many sacks that we came close to having? I know.
Yes.
Easily 5 more.
This could have been a 10-sack performance by this defense. And had some of those occurred, some of those big, long plays don't happen. Those screenplays probably don't happen. But that's not what I'm talking. I'm not making up for these guys. They didn't do enough to win a football game at Joan C. Edwards Stadium. And that's a place you have to freaking win a football game.
Yeah,
that's all there is to it. There were some individual guys that played great. Kerryon Martin played out of his freaking mind. And I continually see Cannon Lewis get better and better and better. I tell you, man, this kid's going to be a super stud. It feels like if he stays healthy this year, another solid performance from him. We saw some push from the defensive line this time.
Defensive line did a lot.
Braden Ward got in there. Jamal Weiss got in there a couple of times. Like we're doing some things. It's just like I said in the intro or in the beginning part of the show, I saw more bad tackling angles again that lead to more yardage than should have happened. And ultimately they set up freaking scores.
Let's go back over these sacks here just for a second. I mean, because let's see which ones of those were coming from the defensive line and the tackles for loss. So Jamal Weiss had 1.5 sacks, and that accounted for his tackles for loss.
Right.
Braden Ward 1 for 1. Naquan Crowder 1.5.
You got Jaleel Martin.
He's on down here. Jaleel Rivera Harvey got 1 tackle for loss from defensive line. Tyus Martin 1/2. Paul Hudson the third 1/2. That is a lot of production out of your defensive line.
Absolutely, it is.
And for all the people that I have seen say stuff online, not just during this game, but all off season, then after Georgia, saying, the 3-3-5, and you got to have a better defensive line. Defensive line did pretty daggone good.
They did. They what you like to say is they did a lot of the heavy lifting. Those first 2 levels did a lot of heavy lifting for this defensive effort. It's the secondary that really let them down in this one.
Yeah. And, it was like the secondary made a lot of plays as well. You know what I'm saying? We just highlighted their plays, but the plays that were given up is what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, because that's what beat you.
That's right. That's right.
You know, it's the plays, the chunk plays. You can't give up almost 50% on third freaking down. You know, like they do really good. Tackle for loss on first down, incomplete pass on second down, 3rd and 14, you pick it up, and you're like, here we go again.
Well, that 55-yard screenplay that let them go down and score. We had them. It was 3rd and long, and then we were right back there. But again, they called the perfect play at the perfect time, knowing that we were going to be pinning the ears back. We should have known that as well.
And I want to make another note because this is important as well. There were plays that this defense gave up that they had to give back because Missouri State was called for 3 offensive pass interference calls.
But the reason that the player was open was because of that pick play.
I know. I'm saying, like, so you could tell that they were running this risky type of offense to where it was going to get called. When's the last time you saw 3 offensive pass interference called in the same game on the same team? It's been a while.
I don't know that I ever have. But,
it's been a while.
And if I have, they weren't all pick plays either. You know,
one thing
they were like push offs. You know what I'm saying? These weren't push offs. These were actual. I'm going to run this guy over here on a crossing route to pick this guy so he can be wide open.
Sure.
I don't know that I've ever seen that in a game.
Yeah, one thing I will give credit to Missouri State on, I noticed this in real time. I was discussing it with my cousin up in the stands. They were doing a phenomenal job of emptying out one half of the field and then running one guy into that set part of the field, and he would be wide open, and it worked time after time after time. So there were some excellent play designs that they were using against our guys. So it's not all on the defense. There were some really great play calls that they were going up against, but still they just, again, didn't make enough plays.
You didn't get the benefit of hearing the announcers discussing this because you didn't get to watch the rewatch while you were driving, but they kept referring to this Petrino offense. You know, Nick Petrino, I think I've got the first name correct. Forgive me if it's wrong, but Bobby's son, but Bobby was there at Missouri State, if you remember. And Ryan Beard is married to Bobby's daughter. So it's his son-in-law and his son running this. And even though Beard came from a defensive background, Bobby Petrino's offense, his fingerprints are all over this. And that's kind of what he does, is get those guys out to where they can make plays.
Yeah, and they did enough of it, that's for sure. Let's go into special teams now. It looked pretty good. Nathan Totten, another great game punting. We cannot continually have him being the MVP. Lorcan Quinn, I think some people took a little bit of notice. Would have been great if he'd have gone 3 for 3, but
game's over almost.
It is over. I mean, at that point, because
there was a lot of time left on the clock.
Maybe,
it was over 7 minutes.
Oh, I know that. I was thinking it was more like 5. I was thinking that was the big drive that they went down and whatever.
It was. They took 5 minutes off the clock to go down and score that. Yeah.
So you get two field goals out of Quinn. Totten looks really good once again punting. Floyd Lacey does a little damage in the punt return game. Not too bad, and they were gifted 2 missed field goals by a kicker that simply does not miss. So this could have been an even bigger hill to climb for the Herd had the Missouri State kicker been perfect on the day, as he had been his entire career, except for that one block you mentioned in the preview. But what do you got for special teams?
D+. And just as the heavy lifting came from all the sacks for the positive to get them up, almost all of it comes from that miss down there. And like you said, that game is you said it's over. I'm saying it's almost over. It's almost over. I mean, they've got to go score twice. They cannot score and get a 2-point conversion. They have to score twice. And then you still have timeouts. They only have a couple, but you can control the clock a lot. If you go up, and even if they do go down and score, you can still control the clock, provided they don't get the onside kick. It's a D+, because there wasn't a lot that you could do in the return game. Floyd Lacey did do that one huge return. However, he had one that he did that got called back due to a penalty. So when you do something well and you get dinged for it, and then you go down and you have what should be a chip shot. You said 34 earlier. I swear I think it was a 27-yarder.
Well, I'm just going by what ESPN said. It said it was a 33-yarder.
They got the ball on the 20. They got the ball on the 20 to go down, because I think it was an 80-yard drive. So it would have been that would have been. So anyway, it's nearly a chip shot, especially when you're doing a 50-yarder earlier and you had plenty of leg on that.
Yeah.
But I'm giving them a D+. I could see some argument for them doing better. But the one of the 2 big returns they had was called back for a penalty, and then you miss when it counted.
Yeah, the one you had to have. I mean, the only saving grace behind it is that you were still winning the game. You didn't need it to take a lead,
right?
But that all but ices that football game. With the amount of time that's left and how much they have to score, and you're going to get the ball back, barring a recovered onside kick. They just didn't do enough. They did some great things. They did not do enough. Let's talk about the coach's grade. What do you got?
It's an F. I don't know any other way to. I mean, everything else you can talk positives on some of these things to say, well, they did good. We talked about quarterback, did positive, did an F. Offensive had some positives, did an F. Defensive had some positives. I can't see a positive of having Turner, not just that he started, but being the only quarterback that we saw, especially after having the struggles in the first quarter that we saw when I went back through that drive chart. I can't see the benefit of only having 2 running backs in there. Even though they did good, Barbie did well. I felt like Justin Williams-Thomas did better, But where was Antoine Roberts? I know Tony Mathis, they said, has been nursing an injury or injuries from last year, and they wanted to take it a little easier on him. I thought that was just Georgia, but this second straight game we haven't seen him. He's on the Doak Walker watch list.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Allen, we didn't see him. We talked about being able to run out 5 different fresh running backs. We saw 2. And again, we're not at practice. We don't see the health charts. We don't know. There could be good reasons. But I felt like the questionable play calling that we've already talked about, one of them we have not talked about yet. And that was also, I meant to mention that in my special teams grade, and that was the fake punt.
The fake punt.
Yeah. But I'll get to that one in just a second. The 3rd and 1 call where you mentioned already that it was an RPO and we did the fade down there. I feel like if you run the ball right up the middle and you center it and the guy's basically kicking a little bit longer extra point, that puts you up 23-14 with 7 minutes to go. Mm-hmm. I just feel like that we could have in the press conference saying we knew that they were a heavy screen team and they were going to do this, and then we're over pursuing, but we got the screen there. We saw the bad angles, the missed tackling, false start, some things, long run by Turner called back for a penalty, the long return by Lacey called back for a penalty. We just saw a lot of different things there that go back to coaches usually step up, say that's on us. We should have done better on these discipline things. We should have done better on the preparedness. It's an F. We lost the game that we should not have lost. It's an F.
Yeah. The best word I could describe how I'm feeling about this overall effort is puzzled. Mm-hmm. I'm just puzzled. I'm puzzled at why only one quarterback played. I'm puzzled at why only 2 running backs played. I'm puzzled as why the running back that had over 7.5 yards a carry only had 8 carries. I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled how you call a fake punt on your own 34-yard line. I mean, it's no secret now. I've got friends that are Western Kentucky fans, and I know when he saw that happen, or when they saw that happen, they were thinking, Jiminy Christmas, this is some Mike Sanford type stuff, because I saw that guy call him from inside his 20, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Lane Kiffin against us.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I love the ballsiness, but that's the wrong place to do that. That's the wrong time to do that, right?
Well, let's talk about that real quick, because like I said, I forgot it in the special teams grade, but I was telling you from the benefit, first to let everybody know, I see this on social media about the fake punt on 4th and 1. I'm racking my brain, and I hear him talking about the Jordan Clark caught a pass for 29 yards, and I'm racking my brain. And I'm like, did I black out during this game? Well, I was gone to the bathroom. Nobody told me those 3 plays right in a row that happened. So I saw that only, not live. I saw that only on the rewatch. And I saw people online saying that we telegraphed it by huddling, before it, and that we didn't do that on our other punts. But we had Toby Payne had his hands up like a shotgun quarterback would have before the snap. So I think that kind of telegraphed it too. It just seemed to be very, very poorly executed. It's not that the call was as egregious for me, it's the execution of it, to where, it's basically like a direct snap to somebody that's just running right into the backs of the guys. It wasn't a creative, like a, hey, let me flip it over my head to the punter that's, an Irish lad that's, that would have been Totten, not the other. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was not
it wasn't a Les Miles fake field goal flip over your head deal. It was
the play call is egregious for me because of where it took place on the field and the score of the game and all of that stuff. It's like, all right, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the ballsiness to call it, but not at that moment. Not at that time. I just cannot get past how you went away from the element. We've been told and we've heard this is a run rate, and you go away from the working run game that will obviously get you into the end zone a couple of more times. Look, I have no doubt in my mind that those guys that are paid to coach this team can do it in a manner that is far better than I could ever do it. And I also feel pretty comfortable thinking they don't give a second thought about what I say about it too. But I know there's a lot of fans that feel the same way I do. You just simply can't allow that to happen. Give a team their first ever FBS win in your house for your home opener. It's just, it's almost, well, it is inexcusable. It's inexcusable. You were a 10.5-point favorite in that game. You had a second half lead. You had piled up 20 straight points, and you blew it all. You blew it all in front of 28,000 and some change at Joan C. Edwards Stadium. It's got to be an F. Let's talk about fan grades.
I put B+. We had all that rain, and as little people that showed up early for tailgating because of that rain. Once we were walking to the stadium, you just saw how packed it was, the lines were, and the first couple of minutes of the game, still wasn't filled in because they were still trying to get in. That's how many people were there, and all seemingly arrived at the same time, like you said. But over 28,000 for a first-time FBS school. I thought it was a good show out. The only ding that I have is some of the fans online that I have seen were complaining about the Dutch Miller deck. And
but why? I mean, I didn't see any of that. I was driving. So what is the complaint?
It's mainly on Facebook, so I don't know if you would have saw it anyway.
Yeah, probably.
But they were complaining because they thought, it's only the rich people showing off and everything, which it's not,
Okay, so before you get any let me give you my point of view on that, because I'm not a rich people.
Yeah.
When you have a waiting list for suites, this is the quickest thing that you can do to bring in revenue, right? And why wouldn't you do that? Because eventually they're going to have to build more suites. But we know why that didn't happen. We've talked about that several times.
Sure.
But you have people that can't necessarily afford to pay $30,000 a season or whatever the freaking cost is for a suite.
It's a lot more than that.
But I'm just saying, but they want a more premium experience, right? And that's a great experience. That's an awesome view. It's killer. I get it. Like, if you think it's just a showy thing, you can think that. But this is a quick alternative that allows you to bring in a lot more money really quickly that this program freaking needs, people. Like, come on. We still have to compete in the transfer portal era, the NIL era. We have to find creative ways to generate revenue. So unless we all want our tickets to go up to about $300 or something like that for an end zone seat, which I don't, then let's be a little bit more willing to allow some of these things to happen. It didn't affect your own personal experience.
No.
Other than you don't have a scoreboard to look at.
That's the one thing that, I think they need to have a scoreboard up by the next year, hopefully. But if not, the year after that, they need to have that up on the top, because that took away everybody that's kind of faced away from that. Definitely that entire opposing end zone. But, the corners, it's a little tough. But me, and I told everybody everything about it, about all the positives and stuff. And there were a lot of people saying that it was great. I'm not saying that everybody was, but there were some people that were complaining about it and dismissing it. And it was a waste, which I don't see how it's a waste. We got naming rights for it to take a lot of the cost away. Yeah. Everything about it benefits Marshall. If it's benefiting Marshall, why be so negative about it? If it's not the place that you're ever going to watch a game, don't say, well, I don't think it should be there. There are people that do want to watch a game from there. And I went, you went, and we both thought it was amazing. And I bet if they went, they would probably, especially if they got to go for free, I'm sure they would sing its praises and everything. Yeah. But again, and we don't have it down here, but usually it says at Russ Living Goods. So you can just hit me up right there, or you can hit me up on Facebook if you want and you don't like this. But we have a lot of fans, not all fans, but I could hand out $20 bills over there at our tailgate while we give them the free food and everything. And while our sponsors are over there handing out free gear and stuff like that, and they would complain that I gave them a 20 and it wasn't a 50. Or that, we've given away free tickets before and got bitched at by people in DMs by saying that we didn't give them out soon enough, because they live 4 hours away. Well, I'm sorry, man, we're not going to give somebody a ticket out 6 hours before the game so they can turn around and sell it for a profit, which, by the way, that happened before, and that's why we don't do it.
Yeah.
But we're not going to give away free stuff. And I mean, we do, and there's still people that complain about it. There's some people online that are complaining. I don't know if they've ever been to a freaking game here, and I don't care, but it got me sour on that, any more so than you would get soured over people saying, "Oh, it's the worst team ever. We'll never lose again. We ought to fire all the coaches right now." That's knee-jerk reaction stuff that you see all the time. that usually gets you the bad grades or whatever. But I thought the fans showed up. The fans were loud. You and I talked about they caused several false starts.
Yeah, shout out to the student section, man.
They disrupted. Everybody did what they needed to do. The student section was there. I felt like a lot of them returned in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
The Thunder Sticks were out. That was great. I thought everything. The Stampede, way to go, Stampede.
Yeah.
So the fans were great. But when you've got imbeciles that are saying, like, well, I can't believe they put the Dutch Miller deck up there. What a freaking waste. Out of everything that you could complain about for that game, which we have been talking about with the offense and the production on the field, who gives a flip about a section that you said you'll never sit in?
Yeah. I'd like to say, again, like, they didn't hand us passes and then be like, here, go enjoy the game, guys, and then get on your show and say how awesome it was. That did not happen.
Yeah.
Right. And I will never probably be fortunate enough to watch another game from that vantage point. And it was really cool. And I could see why it was there. I see the benefit of it. It was cool, man.
I'll tell everybody exactly where I got my passes from. It was from John White that spilled some blood and sweat out there on that field. He was a tight end here. And he couldn't come down because, he had a medical procedure. And he was like, I'm fine, but I don't want to come down there and try to get into all that. I need to rest and recuperate. Would you like to use my passes? And I found out about it at the tailgate, so I wasn't even planning on going to that. You weren't either. But, the final thing, it was that, but also, I gave a big shout out on Facebook to our sponsors and talked about the tailgate, and the photos that I put out of the food caught people's attention. And I had some people saying, where is this tailgate? I would like to join you.
I never say where it's at. That's on me. I never say ever that it's at the back corner of the C lot.
That's my point. That's people that saw that post, unless it was from shares was the reason they saw it. They had to be following the page, or maybe it showed up in their algorithm. But basically saying, hey, tell me about this. Brother, we've been saying it for all 6 episodes that we put out this week for free content for you. And, you're saying, hey, where's this at? Because I'd like to come over and get some free food. Listen to the show, and you'll find out about where that free food is and the free tickets and stuff.
So we're getting off the rails. This turned into a bitch fest real quick, but I want to get back to the fans. I think they did a great job showing out in the game, staying for most of the game. Super big shout out to the student section. They were loud and energetic. The Stampede looked really good this week. Yeah. I appreciate the effort that they put forth. It was awesome, man. The fans, if anything, they get a solid B, borderline A- for keeping it classy, even in a loss. Keeping it classy, even in a loss. Overall, what you got?
Overall, I got an F. I mean, I don't care how great the tailgate was.
Yeah.
I don't care how great the fans were. When you lose and lose in that fashion, and when you look back, especially during the rewatch, and go, could have won right there.
Yep.
Could have won right there. Could have won right there. and you count it up and you're more than 5, you're like, I bet it could have been 10, when you're saying could have won right there. It's an F overall.
Yeah, it's an F. It is an F. Those guys wanted that win. Both sides wanted that win really bad for different reasons.
Right. Yeah.
Now the Herd's staring down the barrel at 0-2, looking at Eastern Kentucky coming in here, and boy, oh boy, for the first time this season, I have to say it's a freaking must-win game.
Has to be.
The FCS team on the schedule is now the first must-win game.
And you cannot lose that game. You'll lose the fan base even more than what some people are trying to jump off. I mean, yeah.
No, it can't even be particularly close. I mean, if ever there was a time that they had to throw, sportsmanship from a score standpoint out the window, it better be this coming Saturday, because Tony and that screw and this offense particularly is going to have to do something to go, look, man, we're fixing it. See, we just piled up 70. That's the kind of stuff we're going to have to see. Overall, I'm with you. It's F. Let's move on. Offensive MVP, who you got?
Williams Thomas should have got the ball a little more. That's 2 straight games that he has really impressed everyone with his yards per carry. Hope to see him getting more. I think that was my dark horse MVP for the not for the game, but I'm talking about preseason. We were talking about running back room. So that was my sleeper, I should say, not dark horse. I thought he did great. He's my offensive MVP in a game where we didn't have much in the offense to celebrate.
Yeah, I had picked Williams Thomas and Barbie. Both guys played great. They should have had more carries. Williams Thomas should have had at least 12 to 15 carries. Barbie the same. He had 12. He should have had 15 plus. You do that, you probably win the football game. Defensive MVP, who you got?
Kerryon Martin. I don't think it's particularly close.
Yeah, it is not close. Shout out to 22 for coming back and putting on a show for the Herd fans this past Saturday night. Special teams, who's your guy?
Totten, and if anyone's looking at the box score, they left off his 44-yard punt, but they left the punt number the same. So essentially he got 0 yards for one of these, should have got 44. So they had him at like 39.8 or 38.8. He actually had 47.6 yards per punt. Yep. The guy has just been a machine. The only blemish that he's had as far as anything was the block against Georgia. Other than that, his shortest punt on the year is 34 yards.
Yep, he's doing a hell of a job, but he cannot continue to be our special teams MVP. EKU coming up on 9/13, 6 p.m. kickoff at Joan C. Edwards Stadium. It is a whiteout, which means, is the Herd wearing the road unis for the home game, or
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know. That's something. Any final words?
Yeah, one, I'm probably sure he's listening, but Jaron Askren's dad and grandparents, we met them at the Union before while we were at a Friday event, and they had said they had listened, or the dad did, had listened to the show, so I just assume he's listening again. He did come by the tailgate. He did get a Dead Meat Society hat. He kept talking about the hospitality, and everybody being so nice and all that stuff, which is everything that we want to hear. And then his son gets the game-winning touchdown reception. Those guys had an amazing trip. So hate that you had such a good one at our expense, but really, really glad that you got to see some Herd hospitality and had an amazing time. And just want to shout out, you got to say thanks to Landscaping by Hillcrest, thanks to Raleigh Court Mobile Home Park. Both of those people allowed us to bring all that stuff for you guys. Thanks to Kyle, Tom, and Chris for cooking all those long hours. And thanks to Jed for producing our show, even when he had youth events that he had to be at with his kids, and then still made it down there for that. And shout out to Jake Coons of Dead Meat Society for showing up, giving away a crazy amount of gear, and being that opposing Sunbelt team fan that still came, tailgated, and cheered with us for Marshall to win. Shout out to all you guys.
Yeah, man. He even wore his green shoes. He's like, I'm not even wearing any purple. I'm wearing my green shoes. I think it was a great day up until the final score. But I had a lot of fun. This could be my one and only, most likely is my one and only trip to Huntington until hopefully the spring game. And that's so far away. Great weekend, surrounded by good friends, good food, and a great tailgate experience. Anytime you walk inside Joan C. Edwards stadiums, at least anytime I do it, I get a feeling that I'm home for a minute, and there's just no replacing that. Even in a loss, it's a great place to be in for 3 to 4 hours. I want to say thanks to the all those herd athletes, player parents, everybody that came by and spent a little bit of time with us, ate some of that unbelievably great food. This was a really, really fun time. And the one thing I want to say about our tailgates is we always try to keep them free because we have sponsors, but there are still people that feel compelled and want to make a donation because the food is so good. And I want to get this out here because of some conversations that I had leading into the weekend. And I was talking to Kyle about this, and he was like, you know what, man, any donations we get, I don't know if we'll get any, but if we get any, we're gonna take all that money and we're gonna donate it to the championship fund for herd cheerleading. And I was like, man, that is freaking cool. So I'm going to ask you guys to do that too. If you wouldn't mind, I don't care if it's $1. Go click the link in the description of this episode or copy and paste, whatever you got to do to get to the championship fund landing page for herd cheer. Toss $5 their way, toss $10 their way. I don't care what it is. Let's see if we can get them some funds. They are such a busy varsity sport that a lot of people don't think about. There are football games, basketball games, this event, that event, every event, all the events. And they put in just as much work as everybody else, but they got to be freaking everywhere. So let's show them a little love through the championship fund and see if we can't fund them a little bit extra this week. I'm going to make a little donation myself personally, and I would appreciate it if any of you guys that can would also do so. So with that, Russ, take us out.
Yeah, whether you see us at the Jack, whether you see us at the Vet, or whether you see us this coming week, hopefully with a much better outcome, no matter where you see us, we're going to be saying, go herd.
Go herd. It's the Thundercast. We'll see you next week. Actually, we'll see you in a couple days for a preview. Later.